Okay, so let's go back to the darshanas. Okay, so we examine the Uttaramimamsa. Okay, I have to share the screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Uttaramimamsa or Vedanta, Karma Mimamsa, and Yoga. Okay, then we go. Sankhya. In this list, we have the Sankhya, which is also called Sankhya Yoga in the Gita, if you notice. Okay. So Sankhya is usually described as a philosophical system that stresses the evolutionary nature of the universe and analyzes the various components of reality, categorizing them with precision. The word Sankhya means analysis or counting, enumerating, right? In Sanskrit. Okay, the two main categories of Sankhya are the Purusha, which is the spirit, and Prakriti, which is matter. We are talking about the material world here. Okay. The contact of these two generates the material world. Prakriti is composed by the three subtle elements called gunas, sattva or goodness, rajas or passion, and tamas or ignorance. From the interaction of the gunas, all the different categories of the material world are originated, including the body, senses, mind, and intellect. Is this clear?
Yes.
Any question? No. Okay. So we continue. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. Okay. And it explains the difference between the kshetra and the kshetragya. Okay. Now, other chapters, other subsequent chapters also can be categorized into the Sankhya. Like, for example, the Prakriti Purusha, the difference, the distinction between the Prakriti and Purusha, which is one chapter. Then the chapter on the gunas, the chapters on the different divine and deva, daivi and asuric qualities. All these are applied and describe the categories in the material world. Are you following? So, Sankhya is a genuine darshana because if you understand all these categories, then you can work within the material world in such a way that you gradually purify yourself by understanding that you are the Atman and not the Kshetra. You're the Kshetragya. And by situating yourself in the Shuddha Sattva, Nitya Sattva, like Krishna is saying clearly in Bhagavad Gita, Nitya Sattva sta. You have to situate yourself in Sattva. Now, because the Sattva Guna is naturally engineered to purify the consciousness and to eliminate the contamination, the ignorance, and the attachments, and the material identifications, and so on, naturally you will come to the realization of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. May take some more time. They take a little longer than bhakti. But still, Sankhya is, a system in itself. It's a perspective on the journey of self-realization. Okay, then we go, the other darshana is Nyaya.
Just one thing in
Please.
Sankhya. So when we talk of Prakriti, is only the dead matter which is Prakriti, or as we say, like, every atom has Brahman in it, or maybe Paramatma in it. So is it like two inseparables and we can't distinguish, or the dead matter is Prakriti and only the, the Chaitanya is Purush?
Yes, that is exactly what the chapter on the Prakriti and Purusha in Bhagavad Gita is explaining. The idea is that we have the distinction, and then the chapter is explaining that they are one and the same. Because the Brahman, originally, the Brahman is non-differentiated. It means that it contains both Prakriti and Purusha. Vishnu is both male and female. Now, Prakriti and Purusha are the spirit and the energy, the consciousness and the energy. Now, the individual being, the Jivatma, is both Purusha and Prakriti, because is in the image of Vishnu. Is the image of the Atman, is the image of Brahman, is the same substance of Brahman. These are the four Mahavakyas in the Upanishads. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvam Asi, Sarva Kalvidam Brahma, Brahman Pragyanam. It means that the consciousness is Atman Brahman. And the consciousness is both consciousness and energy. You're following?
Yes.
Okay. Next step is to understand this, is that at the time of the material manifestation, Vishnu manifests as Shiva Shakti. Now, the first line of Adi Shankar's commentary on Bhagavad Gita is clearly saying Narayana Aparo Vyaktat. Narayana is supreme and non-manifested. So when Narayana, Vishnu, manifests in this world, he's called Shiva Shakti. Shiva Shakti, you have seen the iconography of Ardhanareshwara. You have seen the iconography of Vishnu, Lakshmi, Radha, Krishna. They're one in the same body. This representation is meant to help us understand that they're not opposite, they're not different, they're one. In fact, the Prakriti, we have the two modes of Prakriti. One is the spiritual mode and one is the material mode. The spiritual mode is called Para Prakriti, and the material mode is called Apara Prakriti. The spiritual mode is called Yoga Maya. The material mode is called Mahamaya. You heard these terms before, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is the energy, the Maya, the power, the potency, the Shakti is one. let's make the example of the electricity. Electricity can manifest as cold in a fridge and hot in a water heater. They seem different, but they're not different. It's still electricity. In the same way, the same electricity can power a computer, can move a motor, an engine, can transmit waves, frequency, vibrations, sounds. The electricity is one, but manifests in different ways. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. Many Shaktis, but there one Shakti only. So Vishnu manifests in this material world as a couple. Shiva is a particular aspect of Vishnu, of Avatar, that is always present. Shiva doesn't take birth and doesn't die. Okay. Brahma takes birth and dies. Vishnu appears as starts with the three Purusha avatars. The three Purusha avatars, one is Karanadakashay Vishnu, second is Garbhodakashay Vishnu, third is Kshiradakashay Vishnu. Okay, we are not going into that now because otherwise we go too much out of of our original path. But can you understand how the energy is one? How God manifests in many forms, but is one.
But just before we go onward, as you said, Vishnu manifests as Shiva and Shakti. Then where is the position of Lakshmi? Isn't that, like, is it different?
Lakshmi is an avatar. Like Vishnu is an avatar. Narayana, when he manifests in this world, is also called avatar. It's a Purusha avatar. Lakshmi is an avatar of Adi Shakti.
Okay.
Adi Shakti is one. Inside Vishnu. Then, when Vishnu manifests in the material world, Shakti manifests as the sister of Vishnu and the consort of Vishnu. The sister of Vishnu is Yogamaya, Narayani, Vaishnavi, Durga. The consort of Vishnu is Lakshmi. And we have the Ashtalakshmis and all the manifestations of Lakshmis. Okay. But we have to go beyond the concept of duality. Because God is one. In fact, the Hinduism is the actual, true, original, genuine monotheism. Because God is everything. God is reality, existence itself. Tat, Sat. When they say Om Tat Sat, what does that mean? That it's establishing that God is one eternal existence. Everything that exists is God. So Lakshmi, here the problem, as I was discussing, for example, on the concept of ancient aliens. You probably, heard about that. There are several people actually who are trying to see the devas and devis like human beings or humanoid beings that are separate. So they write, with the small g, and gods in the small g. And they think they are ordinary material people. They ask, they ask me, did Vishnu and Lakshmi have children? Huh? Well, we are all children of Vishnu and Lakshmi, you know. What do you mean? That's not that the devas have families. You know, the relationships can be described as families, but are not ordinary families. So Lakshmi is not just a wife. You understand? Okay. Okay.
I have one question, like as we have discussed in Sankhya philosophy, there is we have to understand Prakriti and Purusha, and through analysis only we are understanding.
Yeah.
So the aim is like every philosophy, the aim is to know the absolute truth. But
Yeah.
like in Sankhya Yoga also we have to understand Purusha and Prakriti, but there should be some procedure through which, or steps through which we should go, so
Yeah.
that we can understand the
especially Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhana.
Yeah.
Like Krishna is saying, Bhaktya Mama Vijnanati.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because this is Ishvara Pranidhana.
Yeah.
You know, Sankhya also has the same, because it's also Sankhya Yoga. When you apply the concept of yoga to Sankhya, you know, Sankhya becomes useful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, is, you know, jnana has to be applied to the you know, to the sum total of reality. Otherwise, it's a limited jnana. Okay. And the same with Nyaya. So we just mentioned very quickly Nyaya and Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika is very similar to Sankhya, but it's more materially scientific. And Nyaya is about logic. You know, so if you actually use your intelligence in the proper and correct way, with the proper techniques, the proper knowledge and everything, you also attain the proper darshana or view of reality. These are all approaches from which we see reality, the Brahman. And when we see Brahman, we can also see Paramatman and Bhagavan. Okay, we close here. What do you think?
This Nine Vaisheshika not very clear. Can we go in some detail, or maybe next time?
I think next time, because it's already a little bit. Let me.